How do bacteria make you sick? So what we're going to do is we're going to be talking a little bit more about bacteria, and we're going to focus on the ways that bacteria can make you sick and go in a little bit more detail about prokaryotes or bacteria. One of the first things that we need to do is we need to discuss what a communicable disease is. A communicable disease is one that can pass from one person to another through some type of contact with blood or bodily fluids. This could even be from breathing, where you exhale and release the germs into the air, or it can come from insect bites. Some types of our communicable diseases can be transmitted from surfaces where the germs can get left behind. It can also come from consuming contaminated foods or water. Some of the most common communicable diseases are the flu, the common cold, strep throat, pink eye, tuberculosis, chickenpox, malaria, and gastroenteritis. So how do these bacteria make you sick? When we talk about how these make you sick, they invade your body and they make you sick in various ways. When we think about some of our very common communicable diseases, think about if you've ever had strep throat. The bacteria that causes strep throat is the streptococcus bacteria. What you see here is you see an image of the streptococcus bacteria. And if we break that down with our root words, what you will see is strept means chains and coccus means spheres. So put it together, streptococcus, and you'll see it's a chain of spheres linked together. So when we talk about things that can make you sick, one of the things that we refer to, a vocab word that we use, is called a pathogen. A pathogen can be a bacteria, a virus, or some other type of microorganism that can cause a disease. The kingdom that bacteria belongs to is the Eubacteria. That is where the common bacteria belong to. There are 6 kingdoms of life that we will discuss, and 2 of them are kingdoms that classify bacteria. They are Archaeobacteria and Eubacteria. Archaeobacteria is for more ancient extremophile bacteria. Eubacteria are the ones that are more common. We do not classify viruses in our classification system in biology because viruses are not considered alive because they do not consist of a cell. Prokaryotes are the types of cells that we have for bacteria. They are single-cell organisms and they lack a nucleus. Their DNA basically just floats around out in the cytoplasm. Prokaryotes are the most numerous organisms on Earth. They are a living thing. Those long tail-like, whip-like structures that you see are the flagellum, and they help in movement with the bacteria. Bacteria can be distinguished and sorted by their shape. They are also much smaller than our eukaryotic cells. Our shapes for our bacteria are sphere, rod, and spiral. Your bacteria grow in colonies. If you look at these plates, agar is a gelatin-like substance which bacteria will grow on. And what you can see in these plates are you can see colonies of bacteria growing. When you get swabbed for strep throat, they will smear that Q-tip onto one of these plates in an agar-like substance, and they will wait to see what grows. And if streptococcus grows, that's how they know that you have strep throat. The size, shapes of our colonies give us clues as to the different types of bacteria. So how do we treat bacterial infections? Many bacterial infections are treated with antibiotics. One of the most common antibiotics are penicillins. Penicillins are a group of antibiotics that fight bacteria, and they were originally developed from the penicillium fungi. Penicillin was discovered by Alexander Fleming, and he discovered this when he saw an area of agar with mold that did not have any bacteria on it. He was not looking to discover antibiotics. He discovered this on accident. So we discussed that many bacteria are harmful to us, but some of our bacteria are actually helpful. Some of our bacteria make ethanol. They help with food production. That's how we get yogurts and cheeses. You have good bacteria in your digestive tract that help you break down and digest food. You have even bacteria on your skin that keep other things like fungus from growing on your skin. There is a short video on the invisible universe of human microbes that you will need to watch. It's about 5 minutes. There is a link there in your notes for you to go to the video and to watch it and answer the questions that are in your notes. So how do people actually get a bacterial infection? Well, bacteria has to enter the body through something like a cut in the skin, eating contaminated food, or drinking contaminated water. It can enter the body through sexual transmission, or through the air, or from animal bites. If you look at the image there, what you will see is that this is a rash caused by the syphilis infection, and this would be one of the sexually transmitted bacterial infections. Foodborne illnesses. Infections of the GI tract or gastrointestinal tract caused by food contaminations are common. Common symptoms of foodborne illnesses include vomiting, diarrhea, abdominal pain, fevers, and chills. So things to remember to help keep yourself safe. Your food safety rules are: make sure you cook all your food thoroughly, clean areas where you are cooking, wash your hands, and refrigerate your food right away. Also, you need to watch for cross-contamination when you are cooking. So food poisoning versus the stomach flu. Food poisoning will often come after consuming food that has been contaminated with bacteria. Symptoms normally occur suddenly within hours of eating the contaminated food. The stomach flu is a virus. It is also known as viral gastroenteritis. Usually the word flu is used in describing this, and it can be somewhat misleading. Viruses that cause upset stomach, diarrhea, and vomiting are the retrovirus, the adenovirus, and the norovirus. Influenza is a respiratory virus. Vomiting is not its main symptom. Animals can spread disease. Examples of this would be like the Black Plague that was caused by bacteria from the bites of fleas. Lyme's disease is another very common one, and we have that being transmitted by ticks. Typhus is transmitted by fleas and body lice, and rabies is in the saliva of dogs, bats, and other mammals. Now that is a virus. Some defenses against bacteria. The very first line of defense is your skin. It's typically when we have breaks in skin that bacteria is introduced into our body. The nose also has mucus to trap these particles. The mucus is the body's attempt to flush out those harmful bacteria or toxin and filter stuff out. Your mouth and stomach have digestive enzymes to help protect you, as well as your eyes have tears. And there are also good bacteria that are there to help keep harmful ones away. So an example of where we see something like this happening is like if we get a splinter. So the splinter pierces your skin, and now bacteria can be introduced into your body. So when that bacteria gets introduced into your body and the skin is broken, there is an immune response. Mast cells in your body will release a histamine, which causes the swelling. White blood cells are what destroy bacteria. White blood cells are called macrophages, and they consume bacteria. So they can become so large, that they die. Pus is basically a bunch of dead white blood cells. So what happens when you get a splinter is the body is going to attack that bacteria and that splinter that is there, and it's going to surround it, wall it off, and it's going to actually try to push that bacteria and that splinter up and out of the body. When it seals it off and you get a bump and the pus comes out, that pus is actually dead white blood cells. If your body can't clear that infection on its own, then your doctor might prescribe antibiotics for you. So how did bacteria evolve? Evolution occurs when we have favorable things being passed from generation to generation, so from parent to offspring. The variations in the genes that are more beneficial or resistant to antibiotics will get passed on, making the bacteria become resistant. One of the things that we have with this is MRSA. This is a methicillin-resistant Staphylococcus aureus. This bacteria is resistant to most antibiotics. The infection can spread to the blood, causing a condition known as sepsis. That is a very serious condition. In 2007, 20,000 people died of MRSA. We will do a small case study of this in this chapter. But one of the most important things to take away from this is that it's very important when you do have some type of infection to finish your antibiotics. Antibiotics can be used to treat bacterial infections. They block the way bacteria function and cause the bacteria to die or stop from multiplying. But because bacteria are living organisms, bacteria can adapt over time and can develop genetic changes that allow them to become resistant to antibiotics. When this happens, an antibiotic that was previously able to treat a certain bacterial infection will no longer be effective. Bacteria can spread these genetic changes to other bacteria as they multiply. It's evolving and changing. This allows antibiotic-resistant strains of bacteria to multiply and develop. Overuse of antibiotics has led to greater resistance to them. This is why it's important to only take antibiotics when you really need them. And this is why it's also important to finish your antibiotics. This concludes our small lesson on how bacteria can make you sick and give you a little bit more information about bacteria.